All right. It's 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Village Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, February 16th. Will our treasurer give the roll call, please? Present.
Here. Here.
All right, we do have a quorum this evening. At this time, I invite everyone that's able to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We'll move to the minutes section. We have one set of minutes from the Village Board meeting of February 2nd to approve. Chair would look for a motion.
I'll second.
All right. We have a first by Trustee Oomans and a second by Trustee Vlock to approve the minutes. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. And we have one abstention there, Jen? Trustee Wright. All right. We have a substitute clerk tonight, so I'm going to be over-explaining a little bit just for her benefit. Okay. The next item will be public comments. This is the first opportunity for public comments this evening. If you have a public comment, please step up to our lectern down here, give your full name and your address, share your comment with the board. Try to keep it to 2 minutes, and but we'll have a little leeway if you're nice. So, go ahead, sir, please.
I'll be nice.
Yeah, we'll make sure the mic is turned on. We might need to.
Is it on? Hello? Hello? There. Or do you want me to hold it?
Just kind of talk
I'll
into
just
it.
kind of talk down to it. My name is J.D. Olson. I live at 610 Settlers Ridge Drive in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I guess I didn't need to add the Wisconsin part. Anyway, I am with the Environmental Education Foundation. I just handed each of you a flyer, and we give out scholarships. The foundation was established by a local resident 45 years ago. Some of you may not realize it, how long we've been in the community. And we give out scholarships to local area students. They have to be from the area. And some of them are up to $16,000 for a scholarship. And the reason I'm here tonight is we're trying to make sure we get the word out to as many students as possible. We want to encourage them to apply. And our deadline is coming up on March 1st. So if you, I might hand these maybe to Mr., is it Jaramillo? Or
Close enough.
Jaramillo? Just to make those available in case of any worthy students. So it's for students who are interested in pursuing an environmental degree. Okay, any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Olson. Are there any other public comments any other public comments at this time? All right, there will be one more opportunity towards the end of the agenda. All right, we'll move on to the next item then. That'll be our consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any trustees would like to have removed and pulled aside to treat individually? All right, I'm not hearing anyone, so Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a first from Trustee Russell and a second from Trustee Wright to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion or questions on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries. The next item will be the presentation of accounts and petitions. Our Finance and Personnel Chair, Trustee Wright, will present these.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. I first present for board approval the report of payroll ending 2/6/2026, the amount of $53,635.56.
Human second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve payroll ending 02/06/2026. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Then I present the first report of accounts payable prepaids for board approval dated 1/29/26, the amount of $263.81.
Human second.
We have a first and a second to approve the accounts payable prepaids dated 01/29/26. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Then I present for board approval a second report of accounts payable prepaids dated 2/2/2026, amount of $4,567.53.
Human second.
We have a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts prepaids for 2/2/2026. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
And third, I present for board approval a report of accounts payable prepaids. Second, I lost my report. Dated $104,354.66.
Human second.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable prepaids dated 02/10/2026. Any questions on the motion? A little farther away. Might better? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Then I present for board approval the report of accounts payable unpaid dated 2/13/2026, the amount of $5,469,464.76.
Human second.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable unpaid dated 02/13/2026. Any questions on the motion?
Just for information largely of the audience, the $5.4 million largely represents village payment of property taxes, the revenue that we collect onto the school district and the community college district.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
And then I present for board approval the report of library accounts payable dated 2/12/2026 in the amount of $3,361.92.
Human second.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the library accounts payables dated 02/12/2026. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
And finally, I present for board approval the December 2025 financial statements.
Human second.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the December 2025 financial statements. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
That's it, President Jaramillo. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Wright, for that. And we're going to try to get our sound just the right augmentation here. All right. The next item will be item 9, Plan Commission. We have a number of items here. I'm going to just introduce them. We actually won't be taking any motion on them. They're all going to be in the form of either ordinances or resolutions in the next section. I'm getting that right, Dave? Right? Yep. Okay. So just for introduction, we had the Village of Williams Bay. We had the Plan Commission recommended approval to the Village of Williams Bay's application to amend Section 390-0316G of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Williams Bay concerning temporary relocatable buildings. It's for the temporary EMS housing that's going to be placed adjacent to the Edgewater Park Pavilion. We also had at that same meeting, the Plan Commission approved that unanimously. We had the applicant also tied with that, the Village of Williams Bay, The Plan Commission recommended approval for a conditional use permit per Section 390-0224C sub 8 and Section 390-0316G to permit a temporarily relocatable building within the minimum required front yard setback and for the building to remain on site for longer than 6 months for emergency medical services, overnight quarters in the Parks and Recreation District. Again, this was recommended for approval by the Plan Commission unanimously, and this is for the same temporary EMS housing located adjacent to the Edgewater Pavilion in Edgewater Park. Then finally, the Plan Commission had recommended approval of a number of resolutions. The first one is approving the topography's final development plan. This is for the preserved development on the former George Williams College Aurora University site. That was approved unanimously. Additionally, they recommending approval of the two certified survey maps. One is a single lot, the second is a 4-lot map, recommended unanimously. And finally, recommended approval of a resolution for a preliminary condominium plat for the preserve. And that was recommended for approval unanimously by the Plan Commission. All right. So that's just an introduction to what we'll be dealing with those items shortly here. I don't have any, I do have one president's remark that's not on the agenda, and this is just a thank you and congratulations to the Women's Civic League and everyone else that was involved in putting on the chili cook-off. We have the 2 weekends ago. It was a successful event. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it. Hopefully next year I'll be there. So thank you for that. All right, so now we'll move on to our ordinances and resolutions where we'll be kind of handling everything I just went over. Our Building and Zoning and Ordinance Chair is going to be introducing these items. So Trustee Franzen, please.
Yes, so the first item. The first item is the temporary relocatable EMS quarters building zoning text amendment, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2026-02, amending section 390-0316G. 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Williams Bay concerning temporary relocatable building located within minimum required setbacks. This is the first reading and possible waiver of the second reading and then adoption. Are we taking that separate from the conditional use permit, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. So I move to approve the temporary relocatable EMS quarters building.
I'll second.
All right, so the first is Trustee Franzen, the second is Trustee Vlock on the motion to approve ordinance 2026-02, the first reading. Any questions on the motion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries.
Okay.
Is there just real quick, is there a motion to waive the second reading and adopt?
I make a motion to waive the second reading.
Second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to waive the second reading of ordinance 2026-02 and adopt the ordinance.
That would be separate. That's a separate motion.
It was just to waive the second.
All right. There's a motion to waive the second reading and a second on the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
I make a motion to adopt.
Second, Franzen.
All right. And now we have a first and a second on the motion to adopt ordinance 2026-02. Any questions on the motion? Those were both Vlock and then Franzen. You got them? Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
Okay. The second is the conditional use permit. So I move to adopt Resolution R-14-26, approving a conditional use permit per Section 390-0224C8 and Section 390-0316G for a temporary relocatable building located within the minimum front yard setback, and for the temporary relocatable building to remain on site for longer than 6 months to provide temporary housing quarters for emergency medical service EMS staff in the PNR district.
Okay, Human second.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve Resolution R-1426. Any discussion on the motion?
I just wanted to note that I know that it's going to be unattractive where it's located, but that is the only option that we had, and so it's necessary. So I just ask that we all work very hard to make sure that it is gone as soon as feasibly possible.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
Okay. For this one, are we having a presentation? Oh, I'm sorry.
So I make a motion to waive the second.
No, that one's just a resolution
It's just for the
for a
resolution.
conditional use.
Right, that's for ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you just read it in real quick, Susan, and then we'll hand it off to the presentation.
Okay, so topography, the preserved development of the former George Williams College Aurora University campus. It's presenting their final development plan, or FDP, certified survey maps, or CSMs, and preliminary condominium. The Plan Commission recommended approval on 2/11/2026. This board packet is limited to the approval resolutions with exhibits along with application materials that were recommended for approval but were modified after the Plan Commission packets were published. Refer to the February 11th, 2026 Plan Commission packets 1 of 1 and 2 of 2 to view all original application documents. So the first item is the final development plan, discussion and possible action on resolution R-15-26, approving the topography final development plan, or FDP. The second is the CSM one lot, discussion and possible action on resolution R-16-26, approving the certified survey map for the conservancy area. The third item is CSM 4 lot, discussion and possible action on resolution R-1726, approving a certified survey map for the preserve resort area, 4 lot CSM. And the fourth item is the preliminary condo plat, discussion and possible action on resolution R-18-26, approving a preliminary condominium plat for the preserve.
I think we'll allow before a motion. Did you want to present today, Liam? Or do the trustees want to see a presentation? Is it long?
It's not long. I'm guessing most of all you've seen it all before, but I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah. Do I have anyone that wants the presentation? I think everyone was at the Planning Commission meeting, but okay. I think we'll give you a break. All right. Without objection? All right. Well, then Chair would look for a motion on the item 1 then, resolution R-1526.
I'll make that motion to approve.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve resolution R-1526, approving the topography final development plan. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Sorry, you know what, let me just take it back so we get those recorded. Jen, can you call a roll call vote? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No.
All right. So that resolution carries, the motion for that resolution carries 5-2. Next up is going to, Chair look for a motion for resolution, for approving Resolution R1626.
I move that we approve Resolution R1626.
All right, there's a first and a second on that motion to approve Resolution R1626. Any discussion or questions on the motion? Yeah, specifically for the one lot, the Conservancy area, one lot.
For the village to put in easements to property that isn't in the village?
I believe I'm answering this question correctly, but someone could jump in, is that this was annexed into the village previously, set up as Ward 5, I believe, if I'm remembering right, and so the easement does apply to village-owned land, and this was annexed in previously.
If you just give me a minute, I wasn't expecting an answer. I believe in one of the questions that we've had answered.
Sorry, happy to answer. Can you just grab a mic, just so everyone can hear you, and people on the internet can?
I'll get my tech to do it.
And you want to hold it a little bit away, is what I learned.
Well, it should have given me a minute to search my files here. But I believe in one of the responses to a question regarding this, it was stated by, I think it's Tim Lynch, one of the engineers, one of our engineers for the village, that, let's see, is to provide dedicated right-of-way for widening of North Lakeshore Drive and utility easements to the west of North Lakeshore Drive. The property to the west of North Lakeshore Drive, I don't believe is in the village limits. And I'm just asking is if that's normal to put in easements to property that isn't in the village.
I guess I don't know the answer to your question, but it has been annexed into the village at a previous time.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that's the case. I mean, I realize that the southern 40 have been annexed in, but we're talking about property west of there.
I imagine the wording only applies to the property that's owned by them, that's west of it, not all property west of Lakeshore Drive.
I was at the meeting last Wednesday, and the drawing, I think, sorry, Doug, you can help me out here probably,
Yeah,
but I believe that the easements that you showed in the drawing were going west of the South 40 lot line. Is that correct?
Yeah, so outside the right of way, they were providing a public easement for an access.
Is that typical for the village to provide easement into a property that isn't in the village? That's my question.
It's typical for a property owner to give an easement to the village for a public improvement. It's just like giving.
So we expect that property to be given to the village at some point, is what you're saying?
The property is owned by the development team.
I believe the property is not in the village. It's not what, so that's what I'm trying to understand, is if we're talking about property that's owned by the developer, or if we're talking about property that is west of there, because that is not in the village, and that is not owned by the developer. So I'm just trying to get clarification, sorry.
All it takes is the ownership of the property to dedicate whatever easement to the village. I don't care whether it's in the village or not.
Okay, that's what I was asking. I was not aware that we had easements on property that wasn't in the village, that was in basically our extraterritorial zone, but not in the village proper. That's what I'm asking. And you're saying that that's normal? That's a thing we normally do?
I don't see why it's not okay.
I've got someone that thinks they have the answer here. Could you just step up to the microphone?
Thank
give
you.
Your name and I guess your qualification to answer the question.
Sure. Tim Lynch, Lynch & Associates. We're the engineer.
There you go. There's the question. All right.
Yeah, so regarding lots, the one lot CSM, the purpose of the CSM is simply to dedicate right-of-way. There's a public trail that's going on the west side of North Lakeshore Drive. So the purpose of the CSM is there's no land division happening there, but we needed an instrument to dedicate right-of-way. So that's the purpose of the CSM. While doing that CSM, the village requested that we provide a utility easement along our southern border, our southward, it abuts North Lake Shore Drive, as well as along a portion of the west side of our property. So the easement is within the village. It is on our property, but is to service future lands at the village's request.
In your experience, that's normal?
It's a normal request, yeah, that's not a item, and it was done at the village's request, and we complied.
I'm sorry,
And then
what?
real quick,
It was requested by the village, by village staff, and we complied with that request.
and then I'm just going to check. We got a verbal nod from our engineer. Is that correct, what he said? And from council down there, is everything above board on your end?
Yes, yes.
It's not on.
I'm just looking at our map here. Just a minute. I'm old school, I go paper.
Yeah, the tech person got me
that.
going here. Yes, no, it's from the legal standpoint, everything is appropriate.
All right, are there any other questions or comments on the motion? Did you have anything else, Mary?
I guess I'm just not understanding why we would be, who requested this, why the village is doing this. I'm just not clear on that. So.
Well, Doug, our village engineer requested it. I think he just said.
It's for
That goes straight to the west. So yes, we want to get through the property that is annexed so that we can serve the neighbor property if they choose to annex. So we took water and sewer lines across the south property of Lot 1 of that.
It's one lot for a portion up to service the existing building that's on the south side, and then we provided an easement all the way along the property, along our southern property line, so that the sewer could be expanded outside of the roadway. So it saves cost for the village in the future.
Yes, that is typical to get the land rights while you can get them to serve the adjacent property in the future, should you choose to annex it.
But these sound like these are easements on that property, but you're saying it's not. The easements are just potentially going to be there in the future for that property.
No, the easements are there by CSM. If you approve the CSM, they're there. The pipe may not be put in the ground until the future, but the land rights will be there for the village to install the pipe in the future should you choose.
Does that make that property more valuable?
Our property?
No, the property that we'd be putting in the sewer and water potential, the easements for.
Yeah, you're serving an existing parcel
That's not in the village.
that is in the village.
So I understand there's Mr. Wolf's property that's in the village. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the property that is west of the preserved property.
So does it make it more valuable?
Yep.
I don't believe so because they have access to the sewer and water, but they don't have permission to use it.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, once again, this is a motion to approve Resolution R1626 for the certified survey map for the Conservancy Area 1 lot. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Oh, sorry, let's do another roll call vote. Aye.
No.
All right, that motion does carry 5-2. The next up is going to be a motion, a chair would look for a motion on Resolution R1726.
I move that we approve Resolution R17-26.
Second.
All right, we We have a first from trustee Wright and a second from trustee Umans to approve resolution R1726. That's approving a certified survey map for the preserve resort area. It's a 4-lot CSM. Are there any questions or comments on this motion?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So by putting these into two separate certified survey map plats, are we making it so that it's possible at some point in the future to separate these lots and sell them? Now, I'm not talking about the 4 lots. I'm talking about the one that you just voted for. Could that be sold off separately from the ones that you're about to vote for now?
Yeah, this question did come up at the Plan Commission meeting on Wednesday, but I will kind of look over to council to answer it once again for us.
Yes, the action of creating a 1-lot CSM, which already is separate from the properties east of Lakeshore, does not make it any easier to convey it separately than it had been before. In other words, it already exists. They created a CSM in order to facilitate easements for, well, dedication of right-of-way and easements that you had just discussed previously. So that really doesn't affect one way or the other whether or not the property is separately conveyable. That is governed by the PDO and development agreement and other documents that have been incorporated into the PDO is set forth in Exhibit B of the FDP, the Final Development Plan that was previously approved here.
Thank you. You understand my question. Our concerns are for the village and not setting a precedent for future changes. And I appreciate your patience with me asking these questions. Thank you.
No, that's fine.
The chair would just point out that that first 1-lot conservancy area already does have the conservation easement placed over it and is certified with Geneva Lake Conservancy. So,
but I'm worried about that as well because there's could be parking spaces for almost 500 cars, almost 300 cars on that conservancy land. So it's a little bit of a confusing situation over there, I think, to say the least.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Jen, will you give us another roll call, please? Aye.
No.
No.
All right. That motion also carries. And then finally, we have, for the topography section here, we have, Chair would look for a motion on Resolution R1826, approving a preliminary condominium plat for the preserve. Go ahead.
Motion to approve resolution R1826.
All right. We have a first from trustee Umans and a second from trustee Wright approving resolution R1826. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I have 2 questions for Liam and a couple of questions for the board.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to get a sense of the bigger picture, there's 2 changes in the FDP, the condotel, and then expanding to more of a family-oriented model from an adults-oriented model. What changes do you anticipate to amenities in terms of appealing to or attracting families as opposed to attracting adults? And then what might you expect the board in the future in terms of attracting these types of guests? Yeah, please.
So, there we go. In terms of the amenities, there are no changes between the general development plan and the final development plan. The general development plan had racket courts, it had a pool, which was already meant to be for adults and kids. We were already planning on having kind of activities on site, like organizing little sessions with for kids who wanted to play games or this that. So we had kind of watercrafts planned, so kayaks and canoes, fishing. Of course, we were going to have a few power boats. So those were and in the main lodge, we're going to have 2 bowling lanes. So we already felt like we had a really good set of amenities for families, but we felt like we didn't have the housing to match that. And so that's why we, in our FDP, took some of the 1-bedroom cottages and made them into 2 or 3-bedroom cottages so that the lodging would kind of sync up with the amenities we had. So that was your first question. What was the second question again?
So do you see owners having different expectations or different needs for amenities than transient hotel guests?
I don't think so, because whether you are just visiting for a few nights or if you own one of the cottages, even for them, they are, in our view, the same type of person. They're there for a handful of days or a week or 2 at a time, and they're there looking for the same type of experience, same types of amenities. So we don't expect any difference in terms of the amenities we need to provide for people who are there, just for a few nights at the hotel, or people who own one of the cottages.
Thank you. My second question was, in the research that I've done, established luxury brands can stabilize in 2 to 3 years. Startups in a secondary or seasonal market like what we have could take 5 or more years. What is your projection in terms of stabilizing, and how does the Condotel addition does that help you accelerate that stabilization?
Let's see here. In our model, in our projections, I don't have them in front of me here, but I think by year 4 we're planning to stabilize. So I don't think we're being quite as aggressive as maybe the hotels who aim to stabilize in more like 2 or 3 years. We're expecting a ramp over about 4 years. But by the end of year 3, we should be getting pretty close to stabilize, year 3 of operation. The cottages, for us, it starts with what does our target demographic, what do they want? And I think as we did our research, we were learning, yes, individuals or couples, that's still going to be, we think, by far the biggest segment of our kind of customer base. But we do think we'll have some families, and why we're having some larger cottages to accommodate them. But I think we were also hearing that people like the idea of having kind of owning a cottage that was part of a hotel and having access to all the amenities and services. So back to your question, I think it started from there. I think having them also, from a financing standpoint, increasingly investors and lenders, they like that being the mix. They like having some sort of for sale element to it. So we were kind of hearing it from both sides. We were hearing that our kind of target customer wants this, and we were also hearing that our investors think, we think that'd be good too. And so, that's why we refined our plan to include that. I don't know if having cottages accelerates our pace to stabilization, but overall, I think it will make us a stronger project as a result of having this. So I do think it strengthens the sustainability, the financial sustainability and viability of this project by having these 10 for sale cottages.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure, thanks.
Can I ask, Liam, sorry, before you leave? Thank you. I'm mostly curious about how this is going to impact the lakefront, the pier usage. I believe in your general development plan, I don't have the language right in front of me, but I think it was something to the effect of it would be restricted to guests. How does that change now that there's going to be owners staying in the property and not just guests?
Mm-hmm. So, Great question. The short answer is our plan for the lakefront and the piers and boat usage has not changed at all as a result of these. So our overall plan for the lakefront is to keep it open and green and have very, very low density. That's something that we think our guests are going to want. And certainly we're all aware of examples on the lake where, a property owner has a property in the lake and they've put a ton of piers and they've made a big marina out of it. And we've seen that. I'm sure that the village, is concerned about those types of things. But, I think we're very aligned there that we all want this to be a very kind of pretty green, open, low density lakefront. So by having 10 cottages that we're selling, that to us, that doesn't change how we want to use the lakefront or the piers or the boats. For example, the cottage owners, they won't be allowed to kind of just keep a boat on the piers. That won't be an option. We'll have boats that they can use, or they can keep a boat somewhere else. But we're not changing our plan for the lakefront or the piers because of these 10 cottages. Does that answer your question?
I think so. And because I noticed it's not really in the plan development overlay. There's no mention of pier usage, lakefront usage, and that concerns me a great deal, I'll tell you. I wasn't on the board when that was all approved, so there's not much I can say about it now. So,
The developers agreement has some restrictions on commercial lakefront development.
Yeah.
Commercial lakefront development, but that's not what we're talking about now. These are owners, so it's a little different.
The developers agreement, I don't know, can you hear? Yeah. Developers agreement has built into it, you are limited on piers.
Yeah.
And limited to not renting boats, except, I think, to guests.
Right.
But we did build into the developers agreement and then into the general development plan, limited piers. So that would have to come back through the board if you were going to try to change it.
I guess I just find the word limited piers just a little vague is all. That, you understand my concern, right? These are the things, so as somebody that's going to be interacting with your property, it's primarily going to be along the shore path. And so these are the things that people in the village are going to be picking up on. Otherwise, there's not much that they're going to be, involved. Their involvement will be limited, in terms of what they're seeing of that space. And my job here, reason why I was elected, was to try to protect those things for the people of the village. So, but I will say that I do right now have this in front of me. Can I just scrolling?
You interrupted Trustee Franzen's time. She had set up herself to ask a couple more questions.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry, Trustee Franzen.
You're yielding
No,
to her.
I don't have any more
We're a
questions
little out of
for
order
Liam,
here.
but I did have questions for the board.
Yeah.
And Liam, I appreciate your willingness to adjust to certify the room tax for the condo units as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll just kind of take this one at a time. So I'll recognize Trustee Franzen.
Thank you. So just a couple of questions again, because I wasn't on the board when all of this was done, but do you know if the Plan Commission considered municipal service cost scaling? Like, is there going to be additional municipal cost for public services, EMS, fire, et cetera, as a result? Do we know if that's been done?
I'm looking at my engineer. Did you get the question?
I believe I did. So each one of those buildings is going to have a water meter in it. So from a drinking water and a sewer perspective, they're going to be charged per meter, just like anybody else in the village will be. I believe everything else in there is, all the stormwater is private for them. So as far as EMS, I can't comment on.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect our clientele to require a lot of EMS service.
If I'm remembering the discussions that were had, there were a lot of discussions over time. It was decided that it would be comparable to what the operations under the campus were, as far as fire, EMS, and police services.
Okay.
And then speaking for the utility services, as Doug said, they pay for what they use.
Okay.
And the road infrastructure down there is going to be improved out of the TID.
Thank
The
you.
only thing that's going to be public is Ravina and a portion of Constance.
Okay.
The rest will all be taken away from the village, and you won't have that future maintenance.
Thank you. Okay, and then next, again, before this is approved is when the board has the most amount of leverage, and my concern is long-term leverage. So I did some research on what other municipalities in Wisconsin have done. The city of Delavan created for Lake Lawn Lodge mandatory rental units, and if an owner opted not to rent, their unit paid a monthly in lieu fee to the city to replace lost room tax revenue. The Wisconsin Dells, all units must participate in the hotel rental program, and there's no independent Airbnb style rentals. All the bookings have to go through that approved hotel operation. Lake Geneva indicated that parking minimums are higher than for the condos than typical hotel ratios. Egg Harbor also made the rental pool mandatory and negotiated public safety contributions, and Sister Bay negotiated that infrastructure needed to be completed before condo sales could occur. So I share that to see, is there anything from what other municipalities have done that we might want to consider, or is there anything that we have not yet considered that a future board might want to have us had put in?
I could try to field the question if it's coming to me. I'd just say that those are awesome ideas. It's the first time hearing them from you.
Yeah, today was the first time I had time to research.
Well, we had this, we were able to send emails and stuff, and we just approved the final development plan, so we can't exactly rewrite the final development plan at this point. That's my answer. I know the trustees want to. No? Okay. Did you have any other questions, Trustee Franzen, or should I?
No, I mean, I didn't bring them up earlier because they were related to the condos, and that was item 4, so that's why I brought them up now.
President Hager, my recommendation be is if those all could be potentially good ideas, if Trustee Franzen wants to make a motion to introduce some of those, then she's welcome to do that.
So I move that we consider,
just real,
yeah.
we have a motion on the
motion
floor
on the
right now. I'm just looking at my parliamentarians down there. Do we have to, I know we can motion to amend to this motion. Are you motioning to amend, or are you going to need to? Are you looking, I guess you're just not, are you making
amend?
Yes, you're correct. Yes, procedurally, yes. In order to consider something beyond what's in the motion, you do need to, someone needs to make a motion to amend the motion. There's and state in what way, and then there needs to second on that, and then you need to have a vote on whether or not to amend the motion.
Otherwise, unless the Umans and Wright wish to withdraw their motion to set up another motion. I'm not seeing any interest in that. So if you're looking to make a motion now, it would need to be an amendment to this motion.
Okay. So I need to include all the things that I would like to see us do? Right. Okay.
That's your option, sure.
Okay, so I move to amend the motion to make the rental units mandatory for the hotel rental program, with no independent Airbnb-style rentals, with all bookings going through the approved operator, that the infrastructure be completed before the condo sales, and that those owners who opt not to rent their unit pay a monthly in lieu fee to the village to replace lost room tax revenue.
Second, Bartholomew.
All right, so we have a first and a second on the motion to amend the approval of Resolution R1826. And I'm going to try to read this back, but you could help me here, with the conditions that can we just hear it one more time? Sorry, Susan.
Yes.
I wasn't writing fast enough.
Mandatory that all units participate in the hotel rental program, so all bookings go through that as the approved operator. That there be, if owners opt to not rent their unit, they pay a monthly in lieu fee to the village to replace lost room tax revenue. And that the infrastructure is completed before the condo sales.
Jen, did you get that? We could play back the tape later if you need to get it all written down, but, okay. Yeah, so we have a first and a second on that, as I said. We'll go to discussion on the amendment. Trustee Russell, please.
Attorney Schneider, the payment in lieu, the fee for payment in lieu of room tax, that was at Lake Lawn and Delavan?
Yes.
Was that upheld?
That was found to be illegal. It was found to be illegal and wasn't permitted. That's correct.
Are there any other questions or comments on the motion?
As I understand, also, just to point it out, that the provision, and I'm not taking a position either way, but just a caution that I also understand that there was a legal reason that the developer didn't require everyone to be in rent through their system. And probably be best if their counsel had explained that issue, just so everybody understands why they did what they did. So I think that's important.
Sir, before you answer that, I think it was in this packet too, wasn't it? I remember reading that.
Mr. Clark, if we, as a developer, prohibit rentals, we turn this not into a property interest, but a security. And so it becomes a security brokerage issue, not a purchase and sale of a unit of condominium asset. So that's why we couldn't. Obviously, we would kind of like to control, and we actually expect most of the condo units to rent through topography. No direct rentals are going to be allowed already. That's in there. They have to either go through the applicant or one of our approved vendors. So you can't just throw this up on VRBO or anything like that.
If they go through one of your approved vendors, they will still need to register for a state short-term rental license and the village short-term rental license, so that puts burden on the village for enforcement of those.
We've agreed in the latest revisions to take that onus on to track and report and ensure compliance. But you are correct. That is something that we're taking the onus on to report to the village. Okay.
So how are Egg Harbor and the Dells doing it?
I don't know. I don't know if they are. This has been pretty well settled law. This is not a Wisconsin law or a Walworth County ordinance issue or Village of Williams Bay ordinance issue. This is a federal SEC rule.
Okay, thank you.
Questions or discussion on the motion for the amendment? All right. Will you get a roll call for this one, please? No.
No. No.
No.
All right. That motion is defeated. So we're back to the original, now unamended motion, still unamended motion, R, to approve Resolution R 1826, the preliminary condominium plat for the preserve. Are there any further questions?
Can I talk now? Is that okay? Yeah. So I found what I was...
Chair will recognize you now. It's just because you
you.
interrupted her during her question.
I understand,
That's why
but
I
I
didn't mean
wanted to ask Liam, and he was at the podium, and so I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Liam, my question I'm going to go back to, because I did find what I was looking for regarding the PDO and the piers. Lakefront. So I'm not sure what page this is on because this is the public packet, because I wasn't on the board at the time, so I didn't have access to things. But it says maximum number of piers / slips / buoys / boats limited to guests. It doesn't give any number. So I'm just saying, it just seems like vague language, and I'm just wondering if we could get a narrower understanding of what we're looking for out down there. I've seen pictures. I think there's 3 in the diagrams that I've seen.
Mm-hmm. I believe in the development agreement that we said a maximum of 12 slips. That's
12 slips.
12 little places.
I know what slips are, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but how many piers are there? And are we be looking at shore stations as well? There'll be 12 shore stations then in each of those slips? Is that probably going to be expected?
What are shore stations?
The rigging that people lift their boats out of the water onto.
We're not planning on really having maybe one of those, but we're not really planning on any of those. That's not.
Okay.
We won't be lifting boats in and out of the water, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So and then I believe in the development agreement we said 12, and I think also this is now just to say fully acknowledging this is above my pay grade, but the guidance that we got from council is that issues around lakefront usage and water usage really are for the DNR.
That's correct.
So I think that's probably why we, maybe this group, maybe didn't have certain language or requirements there because it is a DNR issue. But to the extent that we can, and I think in the development agreement we did, try to be clear about how we intend to limit lakefront usage. And again, just to be super clear, I promise you that no one wants to keep our lakefront more green and open and free of piers and boats than I do. So just so you know where I'm coming from, we have zero plans or goals or ambitions to have any kind of marina kind of feel or look to it.
Okay, thank you. The reason why I'm concerned is because there's definitely a potential here. So there's a 90-day limit for condo owners to be in their condos for the year. And it's not hard to imagine 28 days living at the condo and then taking a night off and going to Chicago for a show and then coming back for another 28 days and then taking a night and going to, wherever and then So it's a tip, and this is not that unusual than most people who have lakefront homes. And they, along with that, have boats and stand-up paddle boards and, just everything else that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so opening this up to condos kind of just, in my mind, opens it up to that kind of a resident down in that space.
I get you.
That's my concern.
No, absolutely. I think I understand where you're coming from, your concern. I mean, I think our offering for those who want to buy a cottage, I think it's going to be an amazing thing for a certain type of person who wants to go out for 4 or 5 weeks a year and is happy to rent it out the rest of the time. We're going to have all sorts of amazing amenities and service on site that other homeowners around a lake won't have on their property. But there are some drawbacks. One, the flip side is you can't stay there more than 90 nights a year or 28 consecutive nights. So that's one constraint. And another constraint is you can't have your own pier or your own lift station or whatever else. And if you want that, I'd say I get it, but then you have to just go get your own house somewhere along the lakefront. That's just not what we're offering. That's just not part of the deal for what we're doing.
Thank you. I just have one last question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
And it has to do with fireplaces. So I believe that I see in the condo declaration that each of the cottages is going to have 2 wood-burning fireplaces. And if I do the math right, that's 62 wood-burning fireplaces, right, 31 cottages, each with 2. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of thinking, Peaky Blinders, movie set. I'm just sort of thinking kind of a lot of smoke, and I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that as well.
Yeah. So I guess taking a bit of a step back of the 68 keys overall, 58 that'll be part of the hotel, 10 cottages. The 37 keys in the lodge, none of them have any of their own fireplaces. Just to say, the majority of the keys don't have their own fireplaces.
So I'm sorry, I'm confusing, I guess, the language. So I'm thinking condominiums and cottages. So when it says in the declaration, that just refers to the 10, not to the 31.
So I'll just spell it out for you. So the 37 keys in the lodge, there are no fireplaces. You're right, the 31 keys that are cottages, some of which are hotel owned, some of which are going to be part of the condo, those will have, some of them will have fireplaces, some of them will have wood burning stove, but most of them will have only one. Actually, the most common thing will be they'll have one wood burning stove, and as you probably know, those are very efficient, relatively speaking. The larger cottages will have more of your traditional wood burning fireplaces. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
All right, do any other trustees have any questions or comments on the motion? All right, we'll call a vote. We got one more roll call for you, Jen. Aye.
No.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All right, and that motion also carries. So we're done with topography then, and I'll turn it back over to our Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Chair to round out our ordinances and resolutions section here.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. Next is item C, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2026-03, read chapter 205, housing standards and rental property, article 3, short-term rental of residential dwellings, including fees, enforcement, and penalties. This is the first reading and possible waiver of second reading and possible adoption. So I move to approve this ordinance.
All right, we have a motion to approve from Trustee Franzen and a second from Trustee Russell. On the motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2026-03, are there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
I move to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-03.
Is it to waive it?
I'm sorry, to waive the second reading of ordinance 2026-03.
The first is Franzen, second Russell again on the motion to waive the second reading. Any questions or discussions on the motion?
I'm going to speak against waiving the second reading. This is a fairly significant change in regulation, and I think we need to let it percolate in the community for another meeting.
Yeah, it's probably. I'd defer to your judgment on that. Not that we're going to vote this down in the future, but to let it percolate. Good word. Any other discussion? So this is the motion to waive the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 We got ayes from
Me? Mary?
Bartholomew and just Bart
Franzen.
and Franzen. Okay. All opposed, say no. No. All right. That motion is defeated. We'll get that second reading at the next meeting.
Okay. The next item D, discussion and possible action on resolution R-19-26, approving the 5-year capital improvements program from 2026 to 2030. I move to approve resolution R-19-26.
Second Bartholomew.
All right. There's a first and a second on the motion to approve resolution R-19-26. You got them, Jen? Franz and Bartholomew? Okay. Trustee Wright, do you want to add anything to this?
Just to speak briefly to the status of the plan, this represents many meetings worth of by the Finance Committee, Finance and Personnel Committee, as well as input from staff. And I think it's this current draft shows a few projects that moved back in time, some that moved up in time, but I think it represents a solid plan for our capital expenditures across the next 5 years.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
And item E, discussion and possible action on Resolution R-20-26, authorizing the 2026 borrowings for capital improvements. I move to approve Resolution R-2026.
First Franzen, second Wright on the motion to approve Resolution R-2026. Again, I'll invite Trustee Wright if he has a comment.
Just briefly, the only thing that really would move forward anytime soon, at least in the next year or so, would be a borrowing of about $2.4 million that would take place this year that would support the 20, 26, 27, and 28 capital improvements.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from trustees on the motion?
This will obviously come back for board action once we have a form proposal. All we're doing right now is authorizing our bond person to prepare a proposal.
Good. Anything further?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We like the info. All right. All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
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 Any opposed, vote no. That motion carries.
And the last item, letter F, discussion and possible action on Resolution R-21-26, approving the Village of Williams Bay fee schedule for year 2026. I move to approve Resolution R-21-26.
Second, Bartholomew.
All right. We have a first from Trustee Franzen and a second from Trustee Bartholomew approving Resolution R-21-26. Any questions or comments on the motion? I'll speak for them that this was also a lengthy process over a couple of meetings taken on, spearheaded basically by our BZO chair to get these fee schedules up to date. Last change, I think it was a 21, so we're 5 years behind. So props to you for that, for taking that on. Anything further?
I would just add to that, from our discussion on this subject the other day, there's a number of items, for example, under the building permits, building permit fees show no change or an NA at current, and that's because there's an RFP about to be issued to consider perhaps changing our building permit, building inspection service that may have an impact on the fees.
And the alcohol permit fees are also capped by the state of Wisconsin, as we learned. We learned through this process. So those are the also rest of anything else that was unchanged besides the building ones were those. So, all right. With that, I'll look for all in favor. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. All right. Thank you very much, Trustee Franzen. All right, now we're going to have our public comments. This is going to be the final opportunity to share public comment this evening. So if you have one, please come up front here, give your full name and your address, and share your comment. Again, we're going to try to keep them to 2 minutes, but...
Mine's Tom Shaughnessy, 45 Lickety Drive. Pretty simple. I got caught at the Three Dog Night concert when it was over at the lake, Music on the Lake. When there was a thunderstorm came in and there was fire protection there, an ambulance, cars everywhere, I would recommend that you ask topography people every 60 days to run a fire drill like you are in school to make sure everything flows smoothly instead of having a mess like they did that night. It's for safety reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. Are there any other public comments this evening? All right, we do have public comments on our agenda at all village board meetings, so if you think of something, please come back. We'll be meeting again on March 2nd. So with that, item 13 are other items for discussion, consideration, and action. We have one item. This is from the Streets and Highways Committee, a recommendation that the Highway 67 intersection with Geneva Street, regarding that, the discussion and possible action on commissioning sewer pack. That's the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission to study the Highway 67T intersection where Elkhorn Road ends at Geneva Street. So Chair would look for a motion to open up discussion.
I'll move to commission sewer PAC to study the Highway 67T intersection where Elkhorn Road ends at Geneva Street.
All right, there's a first and a second on that motion to commission sewer PAC for that study. I guess while we have the discussion going, as Chair of Streets and Highways, Trustee Bartholomew, can you give us a real brief description of this,
Sure.
of the origin of this and the thought behind it?
Thank you, President Jaramillo. Yes, it came about, we had at least one speaker come before us as a board and express concern about that intersection. Most notably, it was cars lining in the right lane and visibility, blocking visibility to those that are trying to attempt to make a left turn off of Elkhorn Road onto East Geneva Street. And then upon further study, I guess, the Williams Bay Business Association from 2022, it was a primary safety concern that people listed in that survey, and along with a lot of different suggestions. And I kind of just think that in the community at large, there's a perceived notion that it's chaotic and dangerous. We did have Chief Tim speak to the fact that there's, on average, there's only maybe one accident, and I don't believe there's been any fatalities that you're aware of at that intersection. So we're just trying to respond to the concerns in the community, and it seems that Sewer PAC is a nonpartisan, professional organization, and hopefully they can provide some insight and allay concerns that people in the community have about that. Also, the highway will be under construction on West Geneva Street in 2031, and it just seems like a good chance to get out ahead of that so that we can have an independent, assessment to provide to them as that draws near.
Great, thank you. Do we know if there's going to be any cost, like what the cost of the study is going to look like, and if it's budgeted?
I believe Administrator Letzpike said that there was no charge.
Sewer PAC typically does not charge for these studies.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And Jen, can you get me down as an abstain on that one? Abstain from President Jaramillo, yep. All right, so that's the end of all public business today. We're going to go into a closed session at this time. We're not going to be doing any votes after the closed session, so you won't be missing anything if you head home now. And we'll give you some time to clear out because we're actually going to be moving, trustees, we're going to be moving to the school boardroom by the main office. So we do need a roll call vote to go into closed session, so Chair would look for a motion for that. All right, the first was Trustee Umans, the second was Trustee Bartholomew. Roll call, please. Aye.